Your content isn't drawing or generating consistent sales from your dream aligned clients, not because you have a consistency problem. That's not you. It is actually because you lack an understanding of what each type of post is supposed to do. So you find yourself honestly just posting and praying, hoping that something sticks. And I know from experience that this is not the strategy. It will have you continuously spinning your wheels, posting, and really wondering what's wrong with you, but it's not you. And it'll have you thinking that you can just post and pray, right? But prayer without strategic action will have you disappointed in God when it's your responsibility to get an understanding. So, in this episode, I am breaking down the 3-stage framework that actually converts so that you can stop winging it, okay, with a post and a prayer and actually start creating strategically. Let's go. I did this from 2021 to most of 2025, but in a different way. I posted randomly tips, value bombs, behind the scenes, inspirational quotes. Okay, I've literally done it all. And I told myself that I was showing up because theoretically I was. But what was really happening was that God was actually calling me to pivot. Okay. He was calling me to really lean into my one of one factor, which for me is the bridge of scripture, neuroscience, theology, and brand building. Okay. And it's an intersection that I hadn't seen, but I stayed comfortable as a result. Okay. But I kept posting what honestly just felt safe. Okay. And I knew that it wasn't what I was called to create, and as a result, my content didn't convert. It just wasn't landing. And it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was random, okay? And by no means was it strategic, aligned, or even connected to a bigger framework. So in mid 2025, I dipped my toe in, okay? And I actually signed a client, okay? I signed clients from dipping my toe in, okay? And then this year, I moved fully into my edge. I've really started creating from my actual identity, which is branding and business, but through the lens of scripture and neuroscience, which is for me something that is deep, strategic, and belief shifting. And you want to know what happened? My views tanked. And because I have skin in the game, I really understand, the specific season that I'm in and what really has to happen, okay? And it really doesn't faze me as much. I got to be all the way real, right? But I went from decent engagement to crickets now, okay? And I've never felt more aligned. I've never felt more excited to create content because I know that I'm actually not posting from a place of trying to prove my worth anymore. I'm legit posting to express my unique genius from my worth. And that is the shift that I am going to teach you today, because content created from performance never converts, okay? Like content that you actually create from your identity. And random content, no matter how consistent it is, will never convert like strategic content. Before we head to the office, I want to discuss why your content isn't converting. If you are anything like the faith-led creators and business owners that I have worked with, you most likely post what I call value bombs, because I used to do it too, okay? It's tips, it's posting hot takes, it's strategies, how-tos, frameworks, lists. It's the, 5 ways to get more clients, the 3 tips, for a better Instagram caption, all of that. We've seen it. You know it, okay? And so, the thing is that this content is mostly top and middle of funnel content. So, of course, it does get engagement. People like it. They save it. They share it, but ultimately they don't buy. And it is because value bomb content does not shift beliefs. It gives people information, but information alone, okay, is not what is actually blocking your aligned client. We talked about this in episode 2 weeks ago that I posted called Why Educational Content Isn't Growing Your Business. Your clients don't have a knowledge problem, they have a belief problem. Your Metron level client is who is your most aligned client, okay? And to some degree, they already know what to do. They're just not doing it because they don't believe either that they're capable, that it'll work for them, that they're actually worthy of the result, or that they can handle the success that comes as a result of your work. So that means that giving them more tips doesn't help. It just ends up adding to the pile of things that they know that they should do, but they won't. And here is the other problem that I found is that when you post random content, when you're just showing up with whatever feels good that day under the guise of, following the leading of the Lord, and I really might have to hit on this one day, but you're not leading people anywhere. That's the thing. You are simply entertaining them, educating them, but you are not converting them, okay? And because conversion requires a pathway, okay, that also means that it requires strategy, which means that you have to follow a plan and not your mood. It requires you to create content that moves people from I don't know you, which is awareness, to trust, which is nurture, to, you know what, I'm ready to buy, which is the invitation. And just like me, you're either posting all awareness content, all nurture content, or you're posting invitation content to an audience that doesn't even know who you actually are yet, okay? And so this is how your content ends up getting engagement but no sales. It's because you are posting randomly instead of strategically. And here is what I really want you to understand. There is a difference between content that attracts and content that converts. And you need all of it, okay? Content that attracts gets engagement. It builds your audience. It makes people think, okay, you know what? She knows her stuff. Or this is really helpful. It creates awareness. And content that converts, it gets you clients. It builds your business, okay? It makes people think, you know what? I need to work with her. And therefore, it creates sales. And 9 times out of 10, you've been too heavy on creating content that attracts, which now has you wondering why you have 5,000 Instagram followers, but not the best fit clients, right? And it's because you need 3 layers. You need to know which content actually creates awareness, which content builds trust and education, and which content actually invites people to commit to buy from you. And you need all 3 layers strategically. I know for me, and maybe you can relate, but I leaned into awareness and educational content because subconsciously I was posting to prove my worth instead of actually expressing from my worth. Every post felt like I had to earn the right to be seen. And so I gave everything away. And 9 times out of 10, you've done the same. You're posting tips, and tips, but you're never asking for the sale because asking feels like you're being pushy. But also, I know that it's exhausting and it doesn't work because ultimately you're creating to perform. And a performance never converts like creating from the embodiment of your work and who you are, which is your identity. So when you create from your identity, when you know who you are, whose you are, what you carry, who you're called to serve, your content will naturally become strategic because you're not trying to prove anything. You are simply just expressing from the depth of your artistry, and expression is truly what converts. So with that, let's head to the office so that I can show you the framework. Hey, ladies, welcome to the office. So, in the Wild Wealth Mastermind, this is phase 4 of the overflow code, and phase 4 is called the vortex. And here We turn your content into a whirlwind that is meant to draw sales, okay? And it is built on three stages. And those three stages, again, they are awareness, nurture, and invitation. Okay. And so I want us to take a moment and delve into each of the three phases of this framework. Now, the first phase of this is awareness. Okay. And awareness content is where ultimately this is the content that makes people say, okay, wait, who is she? Okay, so in marketing, this is known as the top of funnel content. And this content is really meant to do a few things, but it is designed to interrupt the scroll, create curiosity, make people stop and pay attention, and it is meant to get them to follow you and or save your content. Awareness content is also ultimately this is the content that looks like bold opinions, pattern interrupts, also controversial takes, provocative questions, stories that create wait, what type of moments, okay? And really, this is being in a place where, let's see if I could give you an example, like really loose examples. But the first example could be like, okay, like you don't hate selling. You hate feeling like you're not worth what you're charging. That's an identity problem, not a sales problem. If you heard that, you would be like, okay. Example two could be, okay, you know what, your content is getting engagement, but it's not getting clients. And that's because your content is because like you're performing, right? Another example could be something like, okay, if you're waiting to feel ready before you raise your prices, you'll be waiting forever. And readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. It is something that is meant to, again, stop the scroll, is meant to say, okay, wait a minute. And it is meant to create a stop moment. It is designed to, make them think to themselves, okay, wait a minute, you know what? I think I might need to hear more about this because this is sounding a lot like me, right? And also, when we get into awareness content, what it isn't, okay? So again, we talked about the fact that it looks like bold opinions, pattern interrupts, controversial takes, provocative questions, stories that create what moments, right? But what it is not is awareness content is not you teaching your entire framework. It's not giving step-by-step how-tos. It's definitely also not you inviting people to purchase from you, okay? And ultimately, it is meant to just make them aware of you. It is meant to create a level of curiosity to want to know more about you. And the thing that I used to do, and the thing that I see in that most faith-led coaches and service providers do, is that they skip awareness content entirely, okay? They go either straight to education or invitation, and they wonder why no one is buying or paying attention. It is because people don't even know who you are yet, okay? And awareness content also establishes your audience. It helps you get in front of the right people, the right new people, and it doesn't just convert on its own, okay? This is what the next stage is actually designed to do. So let's go back to nurture content, okay? So here we see that nurture content is content that actually makes people say, okay, you know what? She gets it. She understands me. Okay, she can see exactly what I'm going through. And this is really known as middle of funnel content. Now, middle of funnel content is really designed to build trust, to shift beliefs, to address objections, also to position you as the guide who can actually help them, okay? And the thing that nurture content is really how it looks. Okay, nurture content looks like you teaching frameworks like this video. Okay, belief shifting content, so actually addressing what they are, really addressing why they're stuck and not just what to do. And that is the key portion, okay? Also, creating stories that illustrate transformation. This is also content that really connects the dots between their problem and the solution, okay? And the thing about this content, how it can sound is you could say things like, okay, here's why your content is converting. You're solving you're solving symptoms. So what they're actually experiencing instead of their problem. So what is actually happening. Let me show you the 3-layer messaging framework that actually creates clients. Another example for this could be, okay, you think you need better like copywriting, right? But the real issue is that you're messaging from fear instead of your identity. Here's how to shift that. Okay, another thing is you could say, okay, like for me again, your dream client isn't just about who they are, it's also about who you have to become in order to serve them. Let me explain, okay? And prayerfully, you can see the difference between this and awareness content. Awareness content is meant to interrupt, okay? But nurture content actually builds trust while really educating them, but it's a different type of education, and maybe in another video we'll get into that. But nurture content is really meant to position you as the expert, as the authority. It's meant to build trust and credibility. It's also meant to address their limiting beliefs as well as show them a new way to think. And that is belief shifting, okay? Showing them a new way to think about their problem. And also, here is where the 3-layer messaging framework would come in from the video that we did 2 weeks ago titled Why Educational Content Isn't Growing Your Business. That's where that episode would come in, because your education content should actually go beyond symptoms, okay? It should actually address layers 2 and 3, which is the problem and their desire. The problem being why it's actually happening, and their desire, which is who they actually desire to become. And again, if you want to dive deeper into that, check out that video, and I'll be sure to link it in the iCard. But when your education content does that, it doesn't just inform, okay? It actually transforms who they are being, okay? And here is why this really matters. It matters because if all you do is teach and you never invite them, you'll end up cultivating an audience who loves learning from you, okay? You'll end up cultivating an audience of freebie seekers, okay? People who end up never actually buying from you because you have trained them to never buy because you never ask, okay? So, nurture content is content that educates. Really, it's meant to shift beliefs to the point that actually builds trust, okay? It moves people from I don't know you to I actually trust you. And the thing about this is that, again, trust alone does not create the sale. And this is where we get into stage 3. In stage 3, it's all about the invitation. Now, your invitation content is content that actually makes people say, wait a minute, sis, you know what? I'm ready. Girl, take my money, right? This is known as bottom of funnel content. Now, bottom of funnel content, it is designed to do a few things. It's designed to invite people to buy, make the offer clear. It's also designed to put you in a situation where you can actually remove objections and also create urgency. And this is not urgency from pressure. This is clarity on why now. And that is the difference. Okay. So invitation content is something that is what it looks like is you make a direct offer. It is you doing case studies showing client transformations. This is actually you creating content that says, okay, you know what, here's how to work with me. This is also informing about enrollment windows and application deadlines. And also, this is content that has testimonials with clear calls to action. Okay. And one of the things about invitation content specifically is that your invitation content could look like, and if you go through a few videos in the past, you'll see that you would actually hear clear calls to action, but they could sound like, okay, like for me, these are all examples for me in my business. So my client Alyssa, she was undercharging and overextending herself, but after 6 weeks of energetic work, she raised her rate to 2,500 and signed 2 new clients immediately. And if you're ready to work, if you're ready for that kind of shift, here's how to work with me, right? Another example is, okay, if you're done posting content that gets engagement but not clients, I have 3 spots open in the Wild Wealth Mastermind this month. Wink, wink, right? Click the link to apply. Or another example could be, okay, you've been following for months. You've watched the free trainings. The work resonates. The question isn't, is this for me? The question is, am I ready? If the answer is yes, click the link. Another wink, right? Okay, so as you can see, this is direct, okay? It's no fluff. I'm not over explaining, right? I am simply just saying, okay, here is the transformation and here is how you can get it. And here is the link. I'm going to show you where the link is, right? Okay, so invitation content converts trust into sales. It gives people a clear next step and it removes the guesswork, of them having to ask, okay, wait, how do I work with you, right? And it creates clients. Now, most Christian entrepreneurs that I have encountered really find themselves on their given level, whatever level they are, but they find themselves terrified because they're at their new edge of invitation content. And so they end up posting, bold takes or teaching frameworks, but never actually inviting people because it feels pushy, right? But here is the truth. If you have built awareness and trust and you rarely invite people to work with you, you are doing them a disservice. And it is because they want to work with you. The right people are looking for an avenue to figure out how to work with you, okay? And they're just waiting on you to ask, okay? Right? Like scripture tells us that we have not because we ask not. Now, if our Father who gives good gifts, right? Like if our Father gives good gifts, if he tells us, okay, we have not because we ask not. Now we do that with him, but we won't do it through the vessels through whom we could be blessed. Does that make sense? Actually, I know it makes sense, but the thing is that have you really considered that, right? Is that the Lord uses people to bless us. And how dare we ask for the blessings of God, yet we never ask the people that are interested in our work. Girl, like, let's make it make sense, right? And so again, invitation content creates clients and it is what turns your audience into a business. Without it, you have followers. With it, you have income. So I actually want to, so at this point, 9 times out of 10, you may be wondering, okay, how do you know what stage to create it? And so the thing is that the simple answer is, okay, you need all three, right? You need all three, but with having all three, here is a really good starting ratio for you to know what to do specifically. And so a good starting ratio is about 40% of your content is awareness content, so building your audience, around 40% education, so building trust, and 20% of your content should be invitation, so actually converting your audience into clients. But you should adjust this based on where you are, okay? And so if your desire is to grow your audience, that means that you need to lean into awareness content, and the ratio should be about 50 to 60%. Obviously, you would have to adjust the nurture and converting content to match to make sure that you reach 100. But if your goal is to grow your audience, then the ratio is 50 to 60%. Now, if you desire to nurture your audience, to prep them, to get them ready for the invitation, then I want you to lean into education and embodiment content, again, 50 to 60% of the time, adjusting your awareness and invitation content ratios. And if you are converting your audience, if your desire is to begin to actually, reap the harvest, so to speak, then I want you to lean into invitation content, 30 to 40% ratio, adjusting your awareness and your nurture content. Okay. And so when you do this, the key here is it means that you're not posting randomly. You're posting knowing exactly what you're doing, and you're not expecting nurture content to necessarily draw in new eyes, versus you're not posting, education. You're not posting like conversion content again, or even really you're not posting awareness content expecting for sales to come in. Nope, because you know specifically what each type of content is designed to do. And so when you post strategically, by knowing what each content piece is really designed to do, you create content that moves people easily and naturally through all three stages of the marketing journey. So why specifically does this framework work when random content doesn't? It is because you're actually creating a pathway, and random content keeps people stuck walking around the same mountain. They know you, they like you, but they'll never buy. And with this strategic content, it moves your people from awareness to trust to clients. So let's bring this full circle. You came here wondering why your content gets engagement but not clients. And today I showed you that random content, no matter how consistent, does not convert because it doesn't move people through a pathway. You need to build a pathway to profit in your content by speaking to 3 marketing stages: awareness, building your audience; nurture, building trust; and invitation, converting them to clients. And to make your content even more potent, you should create content from your identity and not performance, because content created from performance is exhausting, okay? And it doesn't convert, while content created from your identity truly builds a business that you love. It feels like home. Now, when you're ready for the complete framework, learning how to build a business and a brand where creating content that actually attracts clients and not just engagement, that is something that we do inside the Wild Wealth Mastermind. We don't just teach you what to post. Truly, we help you fortify your content strategy and your energetics so that you stop posting from performance and you start creating from your artistry, from your identity, so your content naturally becomes strategic, belief shifting, and conversion focused. Now, founder, if you are thinking, okay, if I got the framework, I know what to post, I just can't seem to do it regularly. That is what we are going to dive into in this next episode, because consistency is not about discipline. It's about constancy and alignment. So in the next episode, I'm breaking down exactly how to shift into constancy without burning out. Subscribe so that you don't miss it. And here is to Wild Wealth. And if the Lord says the same, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.